Good evening all. Welcome to today's GATE exam preparation session number 3 of control system. In the previous sessions, we had seen the topic and the previous year GATE problems on the basics of control system, mathematical modeling and transfer function. We had solved previous GATE problems on the same also. So now we are continuing with the second one, that is nothing but block diagram and signal flow graph. Now signal flow graph is one of the very important topic which regularly comes in the exam for at least 2 marks. So today's session will be an achievement to cover these 2 marks. So in the previous year and previous year also, there were problems on this topic, signal flow graph. Comparatively, block diagram problems are very less as compared to the signal flow. So today's session will be an very important session for understanding the signal flow and block diagram concepts. Okay, so we will move for the concepts and then we will try to solve some objectives and previous year GATE problems. Okay. Yes. So anyone please confirm if my notes are visible to you. Are they visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So now see, okay, let me check how many B students are there so that I can explain accordingly. Okay, it's here. Yeah. So see, this block diagram and signal flow graph, these are the two topics which are used to represent a transfer function of the system. Now in the previous class, we have seen that what is meaning by transfer function of the system. Transfer function is equal to Laplace transform of output upon Laplace transform of input. That is called as what? Transfer function. Now that transfer function can be represented in various ways. And that is nothing but these are the two ways which we study in today's class. We will study that are nothing but this block diagram and second will be signal flow graph. Now based on the block diagram, if block diagram is given, so how to draw a transfer function from it, or if transfer function is given, how to draw the block diagram of that transfer function which represents a control system. Similarly, there is a term called as signal flow graph. Now that graph is drawn with the help of signals which flows in one particular direction, and that direction indicates that what will be the equation to be formed, and there is one formula called as Mason's gain formula by which we derive the transfer function from the signal flow graph. Okay, so now we will see one by one. So as I previously told you that block diagram is having comparatively less problems in comparison to our signal flow graph. So we will just go through it so that we will understand the concept, what is this block diagram means, and then we will quickly move on the signal flow graph and try to solve some problems. So this is a block diagram reduction technique. Now a block diagram can be drawn with the help of some transfer function. After drawing the block diagram, it can be reduced so that we can get a simplified minimized transfer function. Okay, simplified minimized transfer function, and that minimized transfer function can be considered as the simplest form of that control system. So this will be considered as input and this will be considered as a output. And there is only one block, one square block you are able to see here, and that one square block can be redrawn as a transfer function. So that can be understood from this particular topic. So again I will repeat that block diagram is nothing but the representation of a control system's transfer function. If the transfer function is complex, so that block diagram will be also complex. So how to reduce that we are going to see through this block diagram reduction techniques. Okay, so some of the important rules for block diagram reduction techniques are given below. First rule, okay, the block diagram shown below relates the output and the input as per the transfer function given. Now what is transfer function given? The most simplest form of transfer function is C of S upon R of S. controlled output upon reference input is equal to G of S, that is transfer function, or it is also be written as C of S is equal to R of S into G of S. And if you have to draw this transfer function using block diagram, so this is the block diagram representation of this transfer function. What is it? This is C of S, which is at the output. See the arrow position. Arrow is going towards output, and this is R of S. This is input. Okay, and our the main process or plant of this or system of our control system is G of S. So in this way, the transfer function is written here. So how we have written transfer function? Output have written at the end, input have written at the start, and the arrow shows the direction from input to output, and this is a main system block or process block which is mentioned over here. So in this way, this is called as a block diagram representation of a transfer function. So where G of S is known as transfer function of the complete system. Okay, transfer function of the complete system. This is the most simplest form. Next, takeoff point. Now, what is meaning of a takeoff point? Okay, so takeoff point is that point from where, see, these are the two blocks which are connected together. So that is considered to be a takeoff point. When two blocks are connected together with one point, so that is called as a takeoff point. So application, see here, application of one input source to two or more systems is represented by a final takeoff point as shown as A here. Okay, so basically takeoff point is generally at the output side. Takeoff point is generally at which side? Output side. And at output side, you will see there are two outputs which are coming out. They are nothing but C1 of S and C2 of S. So this is called as a takeoff point. Okay. Next, blocks in cascade. What is meaning of cascade? Cascade means in what? Series. So in first point, they just have mentioned the takeoff point. Okay. And now they are considering the blocks in cascade. If how to reduce the three blocks if they are in series. So how to reduce their position, and we can get a simple one block. So when several blocks are connected in cascade, or it is also called as series, the overall equivalent transfer function is determined below. Now see, R of S and C1 of S, that is controlled output 1, and it is having one transfer function, that is G1 of S. Again it is having another transfer function connected in cascade. The output of first system is acting as input of the second system, that is G2 of S. Then there is C2 of S. Then there is C of S. So C of S is nothing but our final output. Sir, this is taking too much length also, and it is more complicated. Can we reduce it? Yes. So we can reduce it. In previous definition of transfer function, what we had seen, the transfer function is nothing but this transfer function is defined as Laplace of output upon Laplace of input. So it is in S domain. So S domain already indicates that they are in what? They are in what? Transfer function input and output, and they are in Laplace form. Okay, they are already in Laplace form. S domain means what? Laplace form. So this G1 of S will be written as C1 of S upon R of S. Similarly, this G2 of S will be written as what? C2 of S upon C1 of S, because C2 of S is output, C1 of S is input. So this is G2 of S. And G3 of S will be written as what? C of S upon C2 of S. C of S upon C2 of S will be written as G3 of S. Okay, so multiplying above three equations, the equivalent transfer function is. Now the equivalent transfer function of this complete system will be written like this, which is mentioned below. So this is the reduction technique when blocks are in cascade. When blocks are in cascade, we can directly write final output, that is C of S upon input. So C of S upon R of S is equal to G1 of S, G2 of S into G3 of S. So where are they? So G1 of S, G2 of S and G3 of S. So what does it indicate? When three blocks are in cascade, so to find out the final transfer function of such a system, we can just multiply these three blocks and that will be its equivalent transfer function. So how to redraw that? See this complete system which was in the cascade now replaced by what? Only one block. C of s upon R of s, G1 of s, G2 of s and G3 of s. Okay, so this is the cascade rule. So what it is called as cascade rule. Very simple. Next definition is summing point. So this symbol indicates what? Summing point. And the signs which are indicating there, they indicate the sign of the term which is coming from that particular direction. Let's say x of s. So x of s is coming to this particular summing block as positive x of s. When y of s is coming towards this summing block, it is a negative y of s. And when r of s is reaching towards this summing block, it is positive r of s. That's what it indicates. So summing point represents summation of two or more signal entering in a system. Two or more signal entering in a system. The output of summing point being the sum of the entering inputs. So the output of this summing point, what will be? So let's say this is the output, that is C of s. So C of s is the output. If C of s is the output, so what its value will be? What are the inputs? So it is very similar to our Kirchhoff's current law. What is Kirchhoff's current law? The summation of incoming current is equal to outgoing current. So see how many arrows are coming towards this summing point? 3 arrows. What are the values? X of s, R of s and Y of s, and they are already mentioned with their particular signs. So while writing the final C of s, so C of s is equal to what? Plus R of s mentioned here, then plus X of s mentioned here, and minus Y of s mentioned here. So this summing point in a block diagram indicates that the variety of signals which are coming from various locations towards this summing point, and they are proceeded further after doing their summation. So this is nothing but summing point. So two definitions and one rule we had seen till now. Next, interchanging the summing points. In block diagram reduction, we may need to interchange the summing points. Okay, we may need to interchange the summing points. Means what, sir? The position of this summing point need to be changed here, and this summing point need to be shifted here. So it may require. So how to do that? And we have to do the change in such a way that there will be no change in the final value. Okay, that there will be no change in the final value. Like that. Yes, any queries? Okay, we'll move further. So consecutive summing points can be interchanged, and this interchange does not alter the output signal. So what is the rule for interchanging the summing point? It is very simple here. Simply we can just sum them. Simply we can just interchange them. See here, in this particular summing point, what is the input? X of s. In this particular summing point, what is the input? Y of s. Now they have simply changed. See, Y of s is just shifted here and X of s is just shifted here. All remaining values are same. Okay, now finally what we have to check, see here, now I am telling you that in this particular case, first case, this is summing point. What is input? R of s plus, and what is input from here? X of s plus. So what I have written? R of s plus X of s here. Now R of s plus X of s is the input for this summing point, and Y of s is here, should be minus. Okay, the minus sign is missing here or overlapped with this circle. So this minus sign of Y of s is mentioned here. So R of s plus X of s minus Y of s is the final output. Now what will happen if we interchange the position? According to the rule, if we interchange the position, still value remains the same. See here, value remains the same. R of s minus Y of s plus X of s. Yes, sir, value remains the same. Let us see the changes are being done or not. Yes. So this summing block with this particular arrow, summing block, remember here, how much we have to shift? This much we have to shift. Summing block and its individual arrow. Summing block and its individual arrow. So this is being shifted here and this is being shifted here. So still we are getting the same value. That's why the rule says that even if we will change the summing point positions, so it will not alter the output signal. So R of s minus y of s we will get here, and R of s minus y of s and plus x of s we will get here. So value is remaining unchanged. So what is the rule for interchanging the summing points? We can just interchange them and it will not affect the final output signal, and it will not affect our final output signal. Okay. Next rule, blocks in parallel. Okay. When blocks are in parallel to each other, now see here G1, G2 and G3 are moving in one particular direction, from input to output, and they are reaching towards only one summing point. That's why they are called as they are in parallel to each other. When one or more blocks are connected in parallel, the overall equivalent transfer function is determined below. So when one or more blocks are connected in parallel, so how to write their overall transfer function? So finally, I will just tell you that finally we can write them like this. We can just write their what? Additions with each other. R of s is equal to, or R of s, C of s upon R of s is equal to what? G1 of s plus G2 of s plus G3 of s. So when they are in parallel, we just have to add them. When they are in parallel, we have to add them. When they are in series, okay, when they are in series, we have to multiply them. That's what we had seen previously. When they are in cascade, so we just have to multiply the blocks, and when they are in parallel, we have to add them. We have to add them. So here C of s upon R of s is equal to what? G1 of s plus G2 of s plus G3 of s. So finally we are getting this particular block diagram. So see, the reduction is done from this complex to simplest block diagram. Okay, next. Shifting of a takeoff point from the position A to position B as shown in the figure. Now see here. This is the first position or first diagram, and now we are planning to shift this particular takeoff point from position A to position B. Sir, why it is required? It may be required to reduce our previous, now this is a part of block diagram, okay? This is not a complete block diagram. This is part of a block diagram. So block diagram may be complex also. So I will just show you for example. I will just show you the example which we are going to study today. See, this is a complete block diagram. So this is one of the question what we are going to learn today. So this is a block diagram. Okay. Now in this particular block diagram, see, so where is the takeoff point here? So here is the takeoff point. Here is the takeoff point. Now to reduce this, we may need to shift it here. We may need to shift it here. Okay. Like that, there may be some complex system where we may need to shift our blocks. So for that, we require these rules to study. Okay. So we will continue. Now, if we have to shift this particular block, after the block, shifting of block after, okay, so when we are shifting the block after the, shifting the takeoff point after the block, then what will come, that we have to see. So for that, we need to find what is the value of B of s is here, means at this particular output, what we are getting, R of s into G of s. See here, what we will get, B of s is equal to G of s into R of s. Sir, how you have written that? Because we know what is G of s. Can anybody tell what is the formula for G of s here? What is the formula for G of s here? Yes, any one of you? What is the formula for G of s? So see, here we had seen G of s is equal to what? G of s is equal to C of s upon R of s. So G of s is equal to what? C of s upon R of s. So here, see here, G of s is equal to output upon input. So what will be the formula? B of s upon R of s. So G of s is equal to B of s upon R of s. So B of s is equal to what? R of s into G of s. Or we can say that they are in cascade with each other. So R of s into G of s we will write. And what is this R of S? R of S is R of S only because what is coming from this particular line? R of S is coming. So these are the two outputs what we are getting now. And now when we are planning to shift this particular block from position A to position B, we need to have the same values here after, even after changing some positions. So let us see now. See, so how we will do that? When we will shift this point to here from position A, now it is shifted to position B. But what change we have to do? We have to write reciprocal of the crossed block. Which block you have crossed? G of S. You have to write reciprocal of it in the in that particular position and just shift it. So what we had done, after shifting the block from position A to position B, we had written the reciprocal of the block which we had crossed after shifting, which we had crossed after shifting. So this is G of S and this is 1 upon G of S. So let us see now what values we are getting at this particular output. Now what we are getting here, so it will be what? R of S into G of S only, same. Okay, so it will be what? R of S into G of S, because this particular output C of S is equal to what? R of S into G of S. How, sir? G of S is equal to what? C of S upon R of S, or you can write instead of C B also, so no problem. But what will be the value of this particular position as the output? G of S into R of S, G of S into R of S. So I have written here G of S into R of S. It looks little blur. Now here what we want, according to previous, here we want R of S. So what we are doing here, while applying the rule, we are taking care that the output should not change. Output should not change. It should remain unchanged. So that's what we are following. So this is what? Yes, we are getting first. Now we have to check this. Now in this particular point, what is the input till this particular point? R of S into G of S. Why? Because whatever the previous positions will be there, they are getting just multiplied here. R of S into G of S. Okay, so this is G of S and this is R of S. They are getting multiplied, and when they are getting multiplied with 1 upon G of S, so finally what will remain? G of S and G of S will get cancelled, only R of S will remain. So we are getting R of S also. So the how to remember this rule, when we have to shift the takeoff point after the block, so we can shift it like this, but you have to write the reciprocal of the crossed block in that path where the takeoff point is shifted. In that particular path, you have to write the reciprocal of that particular block. Okay, so this is the takeoff point shifting. Now next, shifting of a takeoff point from position B to position A. Now after shifting this, again we want to shift it from this position to this position. So what changes we should do? Again we will write, this is what? C of S is equal to R of S into G of S, we have written here. And similarly, what is this C of S? C of S is equal to, also we are getting here R of S into G of S only, because here we don't have considered this block. So now we are checking the rule when we have to shift the block from means before the block. Okay, we are shifting the takeoff point before the block. Previously we had shifted takeoff point after the block. Now we are shifting takeoff point, this takeoff point before the block. Okay, so here the output is what? R of S into G of S, and here also the output is what? This multiplication, that is R of S into G of S. They are the outputs here. Now when we are shifting this here, so the position of B will change to A. And what we have to write in that particular shifted path of takeoff point? The same block value, that is G of S. Same block value G of S. And now we will check whether we are getting the same values what we were getting previously. So now what will be C of S here? Yes, R of S into G of S. Yes, we are getting these same. Okay, so this and this are same. Next, C of S is equal to what? Again, R of S into this G of S. So these two blocks will get multiplied to each other. So we will write here G of S into R of S. So these are also same. So how we have understood this rule? So this rule indicates that when we are shifting a takeoff point before the block, we have to add the same crossed block into the takeoff point path, into the takeoff point. So this is the 8th rule. Next, 9th rule is what? Shifting of summing point from position A to position B. Just like we have shifted takeoff point, now we will try to shift this summing point from position A to position B. So when we shift this point from position A to position B, before that we will check what is the output we are getting here. The same output should come even after shifting the block on this side. So what is the output here? See, R of S plus minus X of S will be the output which we will get here on this particular A path. Then this will be multiplied to G of S because they will be in what? Cascade with each other. So whatever the output will come here, so that will be in series with GS block. So that will be just multiplied here. That's why they are multiplied here. You are able to see here. So R of S plus minus X of S into G of S. So they are getting multiplied together. Now, when we will shift this summing point after the block, so when we shift this point from A to B, now it is shifted. So what changes we have to do here? See, that same block we have to add into that particular summing point path. Whatever the summing point path is given, so this is X of S. So we have to add that particular point in that path so that we will get the same value what we got previously. Now if we will do this particular setting, so let us see how much is the value. So what will be the input here? The input from this side will be minus R of S into G of S. Why, sir? Because here is minus. Okay, here it is minus. So R of S into, actually it should be plus, okay, because the core sign was plus. There is printing mistake in this question bank. So this should be what? Plus. So if this is plus, so this will be also plus. So plus, and then again plus minus G of S into X of S. Plus minus what? G of S into X of S. So what we will get? X of S into G of S. So what will come out common? G of S, because G of S is common here, and when we will take it out common, so we will get the same term what we got here. So how to remember this particular rule? When we shift a summing point after the block, in the summing point path you have to add the same block. We have to add the same block. Sir, this is little same for the takeoff point. What we had done for takeoff point, when we had shifted the takeoff point, shifting of takeoff point is done. Where is that rule? Yeah, this is the rule. So when we had shifted the takeoff point, when takeoff point was shifted after the block, we had added reciprocal. We had added what? Reciprocal. But when we are shifting summing point, we are adding the same block. So for summing point and takeoff point, you can remember either of the rule. If you are remembering the one rule, then other rule will be automatically remembered by you. Okay, so generally I remember for the summing point because it is the addition of same block in the summing point path. So when we shift a summing point after the block, what we have to do? We have to add the same block in the summing point path. When we add the same block in the summing point path, the final answer we are going to get will be the same when the shifting was not done. Okay. Next, shifting of summing point before the block means from B to A. Again, it will be similar. In B to A, we have to add reciprocal of the block. We will again get the same answer. So we will not spend much time here. So it is very similar to the previous one. When we shift the summing point before the block, then we have to add reciprocal of the crossed block into that feedback path of the summing block. Okay, into the summing block path, you have to add what? 1 upon GS. Which block you have crossed? G of S. Next. Okay, so this rule is generally not so used, so it is very rare. But what is this? Shifting of a takeoff point after the summing point. Shifting of takeoff point after the summing point. So for that, what we are doing when we shift a takeoff point after the summing point, so we have to add summing point with inverse signs. You just remember it. Again, after solving this particular equations, we are going to get the same answers. R of S and r of s plus minus x of s, r of s plus minus x of s. So we are going to get the same answers over here. Okay, so how to remember this? Shifting of takeoff point after the summing block, we'll just have to add the crossed summing block here with inverted sign. So here it was plus minus, now you have to add what? Minus plus. Now you have to add what? Minus plus. So similarly, shifting of takeoff point before the summing point, so that will be considered as you just have to add. See here, you just have to add. See, here was nothing actually previously. So you just have to add the same block. There is no sign change, plus plus. You just have to add the same cross block. Means this summing point you just have to add in the feedback path. You just have to add the summing point in the feedback path. You will get the similar answers what you were getting before. I will just summarize this rule. Shifting of takeoff point after the summing block, what we will get after the summing block in the feedback path, we have to add inverse sign. We have to add what? Inverse sign summing block which is being crossed, and we have to write it here. We will get the same answer. So I will just trace this one. See here what we are getting. See what we will get at this particular point, r of s plus minus x of s. So that's what I have written here, and that will come here and that will go here. So r of s plus minus x of s minus plus, see this is minus plus x of s, minus plus x of s is equal to what? R of s is equal to r of s. So this is the same value that we got here. Okay, so r of s into g of s. Okay, where it was? Sorry, here it is. Okay, so this is the point. So when we are getting this particular value, so here we will get the same value, that is r of s and r of s. So how we will get that? See this x of s plus minus and x of s minus plus will get what? Cancel out, and here we will get only r of s remains. So this r of s and this r of s will remain same. So when we shift a takeoff point after the block, then we have to add the inverse sign summing block into the path. And when we are shifting the takeoff point before the block, then we have to add the similar sign summing block into the path. Similar sign summing block into the path. It will have the unchanged positions here. It will have what? Unchanged position here. Okay. So till now, do you have any doubt, Komal, Vaishnavi? Should I proceed for signal flow graph? Okay. Now the important topic is coming, that is signal flow graph. Very important. Generally 2 marks questions are coming here. A signal flow graph is a pictorial representation of control system equation. It is a pictorial representation of control system equation. It consists of branches and nodes. Okay, see here, this is a branch and these are the nodes. The variable in the equation are represented by nodes, and relationship between the nodes is represented by lines called as branches. So the relationship between these nodes will be represented by whom? These lines, which are called as branches. The transfer function of the element is shown along the corresponding branch. So the transfer function will be shown along the corresponding branch. Consider the equation y is equal to ax. Y is equal to ax. What is a? A is nothing but its path gain. So whatever this path is there, so its gain is a. So we had written this. So when we had drawn the block diagram for this particular, it must be mentioned here. Okay. So if we will draw the block diagram of this particular signal flow graph, so it will be what? This is y, this is x, and this is a, and this is what? A. So this is a we have. Okay. Consider this as a. So what is a? We write generally formula for a is equal to what? Y by x. Output upon input. Output upon input we write. So similarly, when we draw the signal flow graph for this particular transfer function, which is shown by this block diagram also and by the signal flow graph, so y is equal to ax. So we know that y is equal to what? A multiplied by X, where X and Y are the variables and A is the gain. The variables are represented by nodes and are connected by line and are connected by a line as shown in the figure. Okay, and they are connected by the line as they are shown in the figure. So if you will see, the complete signal flow graph for this particular equation is nothing but, so whatever the yellow shaded portion, it is the signal flow graph of this particular equation, where X and Y are what, nodes, and this is called as a branch. Now branch is having one arrow. What this arrow indicates, sir? Arrow is nothing but this is output side and this is input side. So wherever the arrow goes, so that direction of arrow going, that will be considered as the output. Okay, and from where the arrow has arisen, that will be the input side. Next, now this is a simple block diagram and its corresponding signal flow graph. Now see, this is the simple block diagram of a closed loop control system which we had seen in our first class. R of S, C of S. R of S is nothing but reference input and C of S is nothing but controlled output. So this is G of S, H of S. What is G of S? Forward path transfer function. And this is feedback path. So this is called as feedback path transfer function, that is H of S. B of S is feedback path equation of this is feedback path transfer function block, and this will be the feedback signal. Okay, B of S, and E of S will be error signal. So what will be the value of E of S? E of S is equal to, if we will apply here the summing point rule, so who are coming in, R of S is coming in with plus sign and B of S is coming in with minus sign into this summing point. So E of S value will be what? R of S minus B of S. Okay, accordingly, this is a closed loop block diagram of a control system. Now, if we try to draw a signal flow graph, now in signal flow graph, instead of summing point, takeoff point. So here this is summing point and this is takeoff point. So instead of summing point and takeoff point and blocks, we represent the signal flow graph by using what? Branches and nodes. Branches and nodes here. So here we have how many branches? So sorry, how many nodes? So here we have complete 4 nodes. So see here 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So generally this is also output. So this is 4th node. So we can say here. So now we just have connected, instead of block we had just drawn the branch here and accordingly the arrow. So see, this arrow is going from output to input. So we had drawn the arrow here also, output to input. When we have gone from input to output, so arrow is here, input to output, and here also input to output. So in this way, the block diagram can be represented with the signal flow graph. Now some important point or features of signal flow graph. Signal flow graph technique is valid only to LTIS, that is nothing but linear time invariant system. What is meaning by linear? So the characteristic of that system should be linear. The changing parameters, let's say it depends on parameters y and x. So there should be linear relationship between the y and x. Next, time invariant. Time invariant means what? It should not change according to the variations in time. So there only we can apply this signal flow graph analysis. The the signal gets multiplied by the branch gain when it moves to succeeding branch. Yes, the signal gets multiplied by the branch gain. Now this is a signal which shows with the arrow. Now when it moves further, so when we are writing the value of C of S, so this particular branch gain, so whatever is written above this branch, it is called as branch gain. We will see certain definitions now, so it will be very clear. So now whatever the data mentioned above the branch, that is called as what? Branch gains. And when we are calculating its value, so previously we were multiplying the blocks, now we are multiplying their gains. That is the difference between block diagram and signal flow graph. So here we will multiply their gains now. Previously what we used to write, C of S is equal to, so here this is a closed loop transfer function. Let us consider there is no feedback. This feedback is not present here. Okay, feedback is not present, and only you have this particular system. R of S, then summing point, then G of S and C of S. So what will be the value of C of S? let us consider there is no feedback in this particular system. Yes, can you tell Komal or Vaishnavi what will be the value here? C of s is equal to what? Don't consider E of s also. Let us take R of s and G of s are only present, and C of s. I am asking you the value of C of s. So C of s is equal to what? Can you tell? Wonderful. R of s into G of s. R of s into G of s, that will be the value. So C of s is equal to R of s into G of s. So what we had done, basically we had multiplied block with the previous input. We had multiplied box, but now we are going to multiply their gains because we don't have blocks here. We don't have blocks, so we are going to multiply their gains here. So at any given node, the value of the variable is equal to sum of all the signals entering into the node. Yes, this is our KVL in our electrical engineering. Whatever the summing is done here, so that can be considered as the addition of signals which are incoming. All the branches leaving a node will have the value of variable represented by that node. Yes, so whenever this signal is leaving it, so that particular branch will have the value of its variable. Okay, so what is the variable used? Let's say this is a branch. Let's say this is the branch. Okay, so what is the value of E of s? So E of s, you can write E of s is equal to, what will be the value of E of s is equal to its branch gain, that is 1 multiplied by R. So 1 into R, that is R will be the value. So point is to say its branch gain is getting multiplied with its variables. Okay. Next, terminologies used in the signal flow graph. Now, what are the various terminologies used in the signal flow graph? So, input node. What is input node? It is a node that has only outgoing branches. So, here we could able to see which is the node which is having only outgoing branch here. So, R of s is the node which is having only outgoing branch. Okay, here is the only node which is having outgoing branch is nothing but R of s. So R of s is called as which node? Input node. Second definition, output node. It is a node which is having only incoming branch. So which is the outgoing node here? So our output node, this is the output node which is having only incoming branch. Only incoming branch. So that is called as output node. Next. Mixed node. What is meaning of mixed node? So mixed node indicates it is a node that is having both incoming as well as outgoing branches. Now see, which is the node here having both incoming and outgoing branches? E of s. E of s has one incoming node, sorry, two incoming nodes. So sorry, two incoming branches, and this is nothing but its outgoing branch. So it is having what? It is a node that is having both incoming as well as outgoing branches. So incoming branches are 2 and outgoing branches. So this is called as mixed node. This is also called as mixed node. There is one incoming and two outgoing branch and two outgoing branch. Okay, two outgoing branch. Next, forward path. What is meaning of forward path? It is a path from the input to the output node and follows the direction of the signal flow and follows the direction of signal flow. So that is called as forward path. Now here we will check how many forward paths are here. So if you will check the forward path present in this particular signal flow graph, so it is a path what we had seen from input to output node and follows the direction of the flow. It should follow the direction of flow. So which path follows the direction? See, we are going in the arrow position, we are going in the arrow position, we are going in the arrow position. Yes, sir, we have reached from input to output. So now this is called as a forward path. So what is forward path? The path which goes from input to output with the signal flow. Now this is the signal flow. Sir, cannot this be a forward path like this? No, sir, because the arrow is coming in opposite direction and you are trying to go from input to output and you are trying to go from input to output. So this is not forward path. So this is not forward path. So in this particular diagram, there is only one forward path by which we can reach from input to output. In what case this can be a forward path? If this particular arrow direction would have been in this direction, so then we would have concluded that the forward path is, this is one and this is another, and this is what, another forward path. So in that case, if the arrow direction would have been opposite here, we would have concluded that yes sir, so this is also a forward path, but it is not there. Next, feedback path. What is feedback path? It is the path which starts and terminates on the same node, traveling through at least one other node. This is called as what? Feedback path. I am reading it again. It is a path which starts and terminates on the same node. Starts and terminates on same node, traveling through at least one other node. See, where is the feedback? So basically it is a feedback, we know already. So this is a feedback path which travels from output to input, traversing one another node and reaches towards the same node. So whatever that path is covering, so this path is called as what? Feedback path. This path is called as feedback path, which goes from output to input side. Next is nothing but self loop. What is meaning of self loop? A feedback loop consisting of one node is called as self loop. A feedback loop consisting of only one node. So let us take the example. Now here, what is loop? So this is called as a loop. See the direction. This is going ahead and again it is coming back. So this is forming a loop. There is a closed loop between that particular path. So that can be considered as a loop. But what is self loop? So difference between this loop, this is called as loop. Self loop can be indicated, okay, it must be shown here below. Yeah, so this is a self loop which starts from same node and ends with the same node. That is called as a self loop. Okay, that is called as a self loop. So this is self loop. Start with x5 and ends with x5. Start with x5 and ends with x5. So this is called as self loop. Okay, so this is basically a self loop. Okay, yeah. Next is nothing but path gain, a product of all the branch gains which going forward, going through a forward path is known as path gain. What is meaning of path gain? Now what is one? One is called as the branch gain of this branch. What is G? G is called as the branch gain of this branch. One is called as the branch gain of this branch, and minus H is called as branch gain of this branch. But what is path gain? Now we know. What is the path present here? This is the path. Now if I am asked to calculate path gain, so if I have to calculate the path gain, I have to multiply their individual branch gains of the path. That is called as complete path gain. So in this case, the path gain will be what? G multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1. So G will be the forward path gain, and in this way we can calculate the path gain. What is loop gain? The product of all the branch gains forming a loop, it is called as a loop gain. Simple, just like we had seen here. What is loop here? So this is one of the loop. And if I'm asking you to calculate the loop gain, so this is loop. How sir this is loop? Because it is forming the loop with the help of the directions present on this particular branch. Okay, so this is loop. And what is loop gain? So multiplication of their respective branch gains. So G and minus H, so that will be considered as, so I'm finally writing minus GH will be the loop gain of this particular loop mentioned in this signal flow graph. This is loop gain. Next, non-touching loops. Now which are called as non-touching loops? Loops are said to be non-touching when there are no common nodes between them. Then they are called as what? Non-touching loops. Okay, so now we will see this example. Consider a signal flow graph. We will examine for examples of various signal flow terms. Ata, whatever the terms we had discussed just now, so they have shown here. Okay. Can any one of you tell me what is the input node here in this particular signal flow graph? Yes. What is the input node here? X1, very good. X1 is the input node because it is having only output branches. What is output node? Which is having only incoming branches, which is having only incoming branch, which is having only incoming branch. So here X7 is mentioned here, but X7 is also having what? Outgoing branch. Okay, it is not only having incoming, but it is also having outgoing branch. But here you could see there is nothing beyond that. Okay, there is nothing beyond that. That's why they have said that it is also an output node. But ideally, if you will say, if you will just extend this and you will name this as X8, if you will name it as X8, so you may have said that, sir, X8 is nothing but our output node. X8 is nothing but output node. But the exception is here like that, if it is the extreme left node or extreme right node which is going towards the output, that can be considered as output node. What are the mixed nodes here? See, X2 and X6. So X2 is having incoming and outgoing also. X3 is also incoming and outgoing. So X2 to X6 all are mixed nodes. This is also mixed node, this is also mixed node, this is also mixed nodes, having incoming as well as outgoing branches. Now you have to tell what are the forward paths here. What are the forward paths in this particular diagram? Which are the forward paths? See, forward paths are nothing but mentioned here: x1, x2, x6, x7, x1, x2, x6, okay, x6 and x7. See the direction of arrows. See arrow direction. See, this is x1, then this is x2, then this is x6. We are tracing the nodes and then we are reaching towards x7. This is one forward path. Then x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, x6 and x7. We are reaching here also. Is there any another forward path present? No. So there are two forward paths present. Okay. Then feedback path. What are the feedback path? From the next node to previous node. So there are four feedback paths present here. So see, this is x4 to x3, x4 to x3, x5 to x2, x7 to x5, and this is simplest, that is called as h3. So this is also a feedback, okay, self loop feedback. Next, self loop representation. Yes, self loop is x5 to x5. So self loop is what? x5 to x5. So this is x5 starting from x5 and ending with x5. So this is called as self loop. That's what we had seen the definition. Next, path gain. So path gain will be considered as how many paths are there? Two paths. So we had traced here, one path is this and another path is straight one. So what will be its path gain? G1, G7, G6. So that's what it is written here. G1, G7 and G6. G1, G7 and G6. And next path is nothing but this straight path starting from G1, G2, G3, G4, G5 and G6. So that will be its path gain. G1, G2, G3, G4, G5 and G6. So these are the two path gains. Loop gains. So whatever the loops are present here. See how many loops are present. Now you have to trace what are the loops. See here, this is one loop. See direction. Yes, this is a loop. Another loop is this. Okay. Second one. So in this particular loop, we are not tracing any node double. Only the single starting node it is traced double. Okay. Then this is another loop. And next loop is this. Okay, is there any other loop present than this, sir? Can we say, sir, this is the loop, this is going ahead, but this is not coming backward. Okay, the direction of arrow is opposing here. This is although going ahead, but this arrow is in opposition. If I'm trying to go in this direction, so this arrow is coming in opposition. So this G7 part doesn't form any loop. So all four loops are present here. Okay, so whatever the loops we had considered previously, so these feedback paths are nothing but our four loops what we had seen. Next, non-touching loops. Now what is meaning of non-touching loop? So what is meaning of non-touching loop? Those two loops which don't have any common node between them. So this is the definition. Loops which are said to be non-touching when there is or there are no common nodes between them. Now see, there are two loops which are non-touching. Now if you will say this is the loop and this loop, they don't have any common node in between. Okay, so this is one combination of two non-touching loops. These two loops are non-touching. Again, there is another combination with this particular loop and this loop. Okay, they are also two non-touching pairs. So there are two pairs of two non-touching loops. Okay, two pairs of two non-touching loops. So that's what we are mentioned here. So these are the two pairs of two non-touching loop just now we had traced. Okay, so they should not have any common node between them. Now after understanding this, finally we will have the Mason's gain formula to find out the transfer function from the signal flow graph. Okay, so the Mason's gain formula provides an overall transfer function of a signal flow graph. The main advantage of Mason's gain formula is that the system transfer function is readily obtained. Just by putting the values into this formula with the help of above studied terms, we can just find out the transfer function of our system. Now listen carefully. Now till now whatever the points we had discussed, we just have to apply them. What is transfer function? Laplace transform of output upon Laplace transform of input. Controlled output upon reference input. C of s upon R of s is equal to, see here it is mentioned, formula is like that. Summation from I is equal to 1 to k, I is equal to 1 to k, pk into delta k upon delta. You have to remember this. I am writing here in bigger font. So summation from I is equal to 1 to k, I is equal to 1 to k, pk into delta k upon delta. Sir, what is this pk, delta k and delta? So we will see now. So this is summation. So what this summation sign indicates? Summation sign indicates that the value of this I or the value of this terms which are mentioned here, that will range from 1 to k. Okay, so p1, p2, p3 up to k, and we have to add their product, and in below there will be denominator called delta. Listen carefully now. What is pk? Pk is the gain of the kth forward path. What is meaning of k? K is nothing but how many number of forward paths are there. So if k is equal to 2, it indicates there are 2 forward paths. If k is equal to 1, it indicates that there is only one forward path. Now what we have to write as P1, P2, P3 in this above equation of Mason's gain? Now in Mason's gain formula, in the numerator we write P1. So P1 is nothing but the forward path gain. Now whatever the number of forward path gains, forward paths will be there, that many number of forward path gains we will obtain from this particular formula. So now if we will consider our previous figure, in previous figure we had how many forward paths, sir? There were two forward paths, x1, x2, x6, x7, x1, x2 to x7. Now if I will ask you what is the forward path gain of this particular path, gain of this particular path, we will just multiply their branch gains together. Then we will multiply their branch gains together, so we will get their forward path gain. So this forward path gain will be what? G1, G7 and G6, which we must have written G1, G7 and G6. These are the forward path gains, and this is G1 to G6. They are nothing but also the forward path gains here. So that we have to write in the position of P1, P2, P3. As many number of forward paths are present in our signal flow graph, that we will write with this particular P1. So what is P1? forward path gain. Clear? Next we will go for delta. Now what is this delta? Remember that delta 1 is calculated from delta. So that's why after solving the problem, while solving the problem, we first find how many number of forward paths, then we find path gains, and then we will move for calculation of delta. And what delta requires? See, delta is the system determinant. Delta is called as system determinant, which is given by. Now delta formula is like this. So whatever the terminologies we require for calculating the value of this delta, that we will calculate in our answer. What is this? So listen carefully. Delta is equal to 1 minus summation of all loop gains plus summation of gain product of two non-touching loops minus summation of gain product of three non-touching loops, and this formula will go ahead like that, and this formula will go ahead further. So how to remember this? See, the signs are changing alternately. First sign is minus, next sign is plus, next sign is minus, and if we are going ahead, so next sign will be what? Plus. Again next sign will be what? Minus. Like that we will go ahead. So delta is the system determinant, which is given by delta is equal to 1 minus summation of all loop gains. What is meaning of all loop gains? So we had calculated loop gains here. Now how many loops were there? 4 loops. So loop gains of this particular loop is what? G1 into 1. Since there is no mention in this particular feedback path, so we can consider the path gain of feedback is 1 here. So G1. Next, this loop gain is what? H3. This loop gain is what? G5, G6 and H1. This loop gain is what? This complete loop. Okay, this biggest loop. See, this is the loop, and this loop gain will be what? G2, G3, G4 and H2. G2, G3, G4 and H2. This will be the loop gain. So summation of all the loop gains. We just have to write the summation of all these loops plus gain product of two non-touching loops. Now we had seen when the loops are called as non-touching, when they don't have any common node between. So in the previous example, we had seen that. So there are two non-touching loops in two pairs. So this is one non-touching loop pair. Okay, so these two non-touching loops are there existing in this signal flow graph. So what is loop gain of this particular loop? First loop G3. Okay, G3 into 1. So because here nothing is there, I have just written 1. And what is there in this particular loop? Only H3, and what they are asking in the Masson gain formula, gain product of two non-touching loops. Okay, gain product of what? Two non-touching loops. So here you could able to see gain product. So whatever the gains of these loops are there which are not touching to each other, we have to write their product. So what I will write here in the above case, I will simply write this particular multiplication G3 into H3. This is basically gain product of two non-touching loops and its summation. So this is one pair of two non-touching loop. In addition to that, we have another pair of non-touching loop. What is this, sir? So that is this pair. So this is one loop and this is another loop. So these two loops are again non-touching. Why they are non-touching? Because they don't have any common node between them. So what is the gain product? What is the gain of this particular loop? Gain is nothing but G1. And what is the gain of this non-touching loop? That is nothing but G5, G6 and H1. G5, G6 and H1. And when we multiply them together, that is the gain product of these two non-touching loops. Now this is the gain product of one non-touching loop, two non-touching loops present in the signal flow graph, and its addition we have to do with the previous two gains, that is G1 into H3. So this is nothing but this term which will come in this particular formula. So I will just trace it again. What is delta? 1 minus summation of all loop gains plus summation of gain product of two non-touching loops. So we will write this particular term with respect to this signal flow graph there. G1 into S3 gain product. So this is the gain product of these two non-touching loops, and this is the gain product of these two non-touching loops. Next, we have to move for minus summation of gain products of three non-touching loops. We may get there may be three pairs of non-touching loops present, but here in this particular signal flow graph, there are total four loops, and we found that all the four loops there are only two pairs of two non-touching loops, but we don't have three non-touching loops. Means what? This is one, this is two, and we don't have any other loop which is not at all having any common node with these two loops. So remaining loop is what? This, which is common to this loop, and another loop is this. This is also common to this particular first loop. So we don't have here three loops touching to each other. So generally in our formula, we may not get this particular term, gain product of three non-touching loops we may not get. And this is delta we have to calculate. So we will see some examples, it will be clear, and it is very easy. Once you get practice of this particular calculation, you just by seeing the signal flow graph, you can draw this particular transfer function. You don't have to solve anything. Okay, it is just a question of mere practice. Okay, so this is the value of delta. And what is delta K? Now, if you have calculated delta, delta K is ready. Evaluated by eliminating all loops touching to PK. Eliminating all loops touching to PK. What does it mean? If I am calculating delta 1, if I am calculating what? Delta 1, then you have to calculate the value of delta in such a way, you have to eliminate the path 1. You have to eliminate path 1 in that particular transfer function. What does it mean? So this delta value will be having various terms here, and wherever you have used this path 1 for its calculation, you just have to write there 0. You just have to write there 0. So point is, if you are writing value of delta, let us take for example, I am writing the value of delta as 1 minus summation of all loop gains. Let's say I am writing loops as L1, L2 plus, I am writing plus because it is summation L2 and let's say L3. I am writing L2 and L3. So let us take, this is the equation which I am writing here, all loop gains summation. Now if I am finding that this path 1 is touching that particular, if delta K is evaluated by eliminating all loops which are touching to path 1. So whatever the loops are touching to path 1, whatever the loops are touching to path 1, that I have to write it as 0. For example, let us take L2, that is loop 2 is touching to path 1, so we will write it 0. So this particular term will become 0 while calculating delta 1. If this L3 is also touching, so we will write it as 0. So point is here, so simply we have to write that particular path delta. So when we are calculating that delta 1, we have to write 0. We have to write 0 in the delta function. And when we put that particular path value or loop gain value in this delta as 0, so we will get it as what? The delta 1, delta 2, delta 3 and delta 5, or delta K up to delta K. Okay, so like that. So this is nothing but this Mason's gain formula. So what is Mason's gain formula? Summation from I is equal to 1 to K, Pk into delta K upon delta, where Pk is the gain of the kth forward path, delta is the system determinant found out by this formula, and delta K is evaluated by eliminating. Eliminating means what? Making it 0. So whatever the loops will be touching to this particular kth path, we have to make them 0 in the value of delta. So in this way, finally we will get the value of our transfer function. Okay, and these are the very simple rules, incoming and outgoing. We know that what will be the value of y here. So x1 into g1, g2 into x2 and g3 into x3. Okay, and this is a transmission rule, that is nothing but our cascade rule. Okay. what will be the value of y1? X1 into g1, value of y2, x2 into x into g2, and what will be value of y3? X into g3. That is transmission rule. And multiplication rule, so same, these are same rules of our block diagram. Multiplication rule is nothing but final x4 will be what? Multiplication of all the path gains. So g1 into g3 into g3. So that is nothing but our signal flow graph. Okay, so now today we have covered the complete theory of our block diagram and signal flow graph. So tomorrow, in the tomorrow's session, we will try to cover the problems which have came in our previous GATE exams. Okay, so for today we will stop here.